Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're diving straight into something I think we all struggle with, the 1% rule, how small steps create big changes. If you've ever felt that awful sting of burnout or you're just constantly struggling to keep your daily motivation alive, you are absolutely in the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to explore a really remarkable story from Wally Tales that breaks down exactly how to overhaul your life without completely exhausting yourself in the process. So, why do we fail to change? I mean, it's a completely universal problem, right? We all want success. We all want to completely revamp our lives. But most of us fail. And according to our source material, we don't fail because success is somehow impossible. Actually, scratch that. It's more like we fail because of a fundamentally flawed belief system. We're kind of tricked into believing that big results require massive, immediate, giant actions. So we just sit around, we wait for the perfect day, the perfect plan, or that perfect opportunity to strike. And while we're waiting for this magical moment that, let's be honest, never really comes, our dreams just slowly fade away. We wait to make these giant leaps, and then the second we attempt them, boom, we burn out almost instantly. To really wrap our heads around this cycle, our source introduces us to a guy named Ahmed. Now, Ahmed was just your ordinary student. He felt average in his studies, average in sports, just average in pretty much everything. And every single time he compared himself to his peers, friends who scored better or spoke better and just seemed to live with way more confidence, he felt incredibly small. So naturally, Ahmed tried to change himself. But he took on this unbelievably heavy burden of trying to become perfect literally overnight. He studied intensely for one solid week, but the sheer intensity of it just completely wiped him out. So he gave up. He pushed himself to the absolute limit at the gym. And just like most of our New Year's resolutions, he quit after about 10 days. He even tried drastically changing his sleep schedule to wake up super early, failed within 3 days. And you can guess what happened next, right? Every time he failed to maintain those massive, sudden changes, this incredibly dark thought started creeping into his mind. He started telling himself, maybe I'm just not good enough. And listen, this is the ultimate danger of relying on giant leaps. When we fail to sustain them, we don't look at our strategy and say, oh, that was a bad plan. No, we blame ourselves. Slowly, Ahmed started to tragically believe that he was just naturally flawed, that he was literally destined to remain average forever. You see, when we fail at these giant leaps, the burnout doesn't just make us tired, it entirely consumes our self-worth and our daily motivation is just completely wiped out. But then, a massive shift happened. One day, Ahmed was hanging out with his grandfather, who was out in the courtyard quietly polishing this very old, worn-down wooden chair. Ahmed, feeling pretty cynical about life at this point, asked his granddad why he was spending hours polishing something so old, pointing out that, hey, it's never going to look brand new again anyway. His grandfather just smiled and delivered this ultimate call to adventure. He said, do you see these tiny strokes of polish? They look small, but each one is adding shine. Life is like this chair, my child. You don't need to change it all at once. Just add a little shine every single day, one stroke at a time. That's the secret of transformation. Wow, this wisdom just hit Ahmed instantly. He realized he didn't need a total, exhausting overnight overhaul. He just needed a little daily polish. He needed the 1% rule. And this brilliantly illustrates his totally new strategy. Instead of adopting an exhausting burden of perfection that absolutely crushes motivation, he switched to a highly sustainable 1% rule. Let's look at the difference. Instead of forcing himself into a brutal 3-hour study session right out of the gate, Ahmed started with just 15 minutes. That's it. And every day, he added just 5 more minutes. Instead of punishing himself with a massive 5-kilometer run on day 1, he dropped down and did just 5 push-ups, then slowly added 1 more each day. Instead of demanding instant English fluency, he learned exactly 5 new vocabulary words a day. It is entirely manageable. It completely bypasses the brain's natural resistance to hard work, and most importantly, it powerfully protects his daily motivation. But okay, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, at first, like on day 1, day 2, even day 5, the progress was completely invisible. Like literally nobody noticed the change. Even Ahmed felt like absolutely nothing was happening. But fast forward to day 30. By simply sticking to those tiny daily additions, his initial 15 minutes of study had effortlessly compounded into 2 whole hours. His 5 push-ups, they'd grown to 50. His vocabulary had expanded by 150 new words. And most importantly, his confidence was really finally shining. Fast forward again to a few months later, and
Well, Ahmed didn't become a genius overnight, but the compound effect completely took over. His classmates saw his growth, his body was physically stronger, and one day, he actually stood first in a school debate competition. It was a victory so shocking that even his teachers pulled him aside and asked, "How did you change so much?" And Ahmed's answer to his teachers was beautifully simple. He said, "I didn't change all at once, I just became 1% better every day." Which brings us to the absolutely crucial core lesson of our story today: consistency over intensity. Guys, this is the hidden truth of success. You don't need exhausting giant leaps. Big success is really nothing more than small actions, repeated daily, to create unstoppable momentum. Honestly, intensity leads straight to burnout, but consistency builds that unstoppable momentum. Now, if you're sitting there wondering if 1% is really enough to make a noticeable difference, well, let's look at the math. Because this is the massive aha moment. 1% daily improvement might look incredibly small, kind of pointless in the moment, but it compounds. Mathematically speaking, if you get just 1% better every single day for 1 year, you don't just get 365% better. No way. Because of the incredible power of compounding, you actually end up, and this is amazing, 37 times better by the end of the year. 37 times, all from a tiny, practically unnoticeable daily effort that requires almost zero willpower to start. So the crucial point is, how do you apply this math to your own life right now? Well, if you're feeling overwhelmed by a giant goal, let's say becoming a reader, don't try to read an entire book in a single weekend. That's a trap. Read just 10 pages a day. It takes minutes, but in 1 year, you will have effortlessly finished 12 to 15 books. Or what about your finances? Please don't wait for a massive salary bump to start taking your finances seriously. Save just one single dollar a day. Now, the dollar itself isn't what makes you rich. It's the fact that in 1 year, you have built a rock-solid, unbreakable saving habit. And that habit is infinitely stronger than the habit of the person who's just sitting around waiting for a big income to magically drop into their lap. Because remember, greatness is not built in a day. It is built daily, one stroke of polish at a time. One small step at a time, 1% at a time. If you ever feel stuck or if you feel completely average, like Ahmed did, I want you to remember that a year from now, you will look back and realize those tiny, almost laughable daily steps actually created the giant leap you always dreamed of. Seriously, your 1% today truly is your 100% tomorrow. Which brings us to our final thought. I really want you to think about this right now. What is one small thing, something literally so tiny it's impossible to fail at, that you can do today to make yourself just 1% better? Find your 1%, protect your motivation, and start building your unstoppable momentum. Thank you so much for joining me